Of the 22 starters on this team, Ryan Kelly is the most adult, meaning that he's the most advanced in age, the most mature of all the starters on this team. And so hearing from him as he evaluates Anthony Richardson, what Anthony Richardson not just did yesterday with the tap out, but what he's done prior to that as an Indianapolis Colt for the last 18 months. How do his teammates see him? How does Ryan Kelly see him? Really interesting stuff from Ryan Kelly.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had a conversation about it, and I think he knows it's not the standard that that he needs to play up to, and the rest of the team holds him to. And I'll kind of leave the conversation that we had at that, but I'm sure he's going to take some criticism for that. It's just rightfully so, right? I mean, that's a tough look, but I'm also he's out there giving it all for his team, right? And it's not always pretty sometimes. An offensive lull the last couple of weeks, just having a hard time getting going at times. I thought we did some good things in the game, but if anybody ever questions how hard he plays, I don't think that that's the case. I mean, if you watch his film, surely, we didn't move the ball effectively at times, but I mean, he's giving it everything for his teammates. So he's young. I'm sure it's a learning moment for him. And I'll leave it at that.
I'll just add, just to follow up, the burden is pretty heavy, right? Just at that spot, and he is so young. How do you think he's handled that? It seems like from the outside in, the disposition is pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, welcome to being number 4 pick, man. I mean, that's the life of the NFL and the quarterback. I mean, if you're the starting quarterback for an NFL team, there's a certain demand and standard that you're held to. You can debate whether that's right or wrong. I mean, there's 52 other guys to hold the burden as well, but you can't win games without a great quarterback. And that's at the end of the day, that person's got to be accountable for his actions, and certainly that's who he is, right? I mean, he's still young. We can talk about that ad nauseum, but he's done a great job of maturing over the last year. And I mean, I'm sure you guys will write whatever. Everybody wants to write something about it, but I think he's done a great job of, I was a first round pick myself, but I was a number 4 pick, and I don't throw the ball every down. So I don't know what that feels like. And all I know is that, in the face of adversity, week in, week out, the kid continues to keep coming back and trying to get better. I think that's all you can ask for out of a guy like that.
Appreciate it.
James?
Yeah, along those lines, Ryan, what do you think just stands out about Ryan? I mean, Anthony, that's obviously physically and all that stuff, but like just as you've been around a lot of quarterbacks, a lot of guys who've done great things in this league. What stands out about AR and I guess gives you that belief that he can, get going and be, a big time player in this league?
Yeah, I mean, I think it certainly, his physical traits are, off the charts. What he can do with his feet, escaping the pockets. I think just the quarterback position in general is you have to be the commander out there. You have to see the field in a way and so quickly as opposed to everybody else, right? So I think that's kind of the hardest part of learning the transition from college to the NFL. I think he's still learning in that sense, but I think you start seeing glimpses of that learning coming to fruition on Sundays. But like I said before, I think his leadership abilities have grown exponentially since last year. I think he sat in that room after having a big injury early on in his career. He watched great guys, the way that they work, the way that they prepare their bodies, the way they prepare their minds for Sunday throughout the week is ultimately what guides them to success on Sundays. And so I think he's done a great job of that. And he leads in his own way. Every quarterback I've been around has been different in that sense. And I think he's no exception. He does his own thing. And it certainly works for us and continue to keep working for us.
Nate?
Hey, Ryan, you guys are running the ball pretty well right now, but there's some guys yesterday in the locker room that just talked about how you could, there's another level to get to when you have a Jonathan Taylor and Anthony Richardson. So in your mind, what is that kind of next step for you guys to get to the point where that run game is kind of the reason that you're winning these games?
Yeah, I think if you see some of the explosive runs that we had, those are obviously huge for us. Momentum gainers, getting first downs, keep the defense on their toes, and ultimately kind of gets them out of those exotic looks sometimes. I think for us, after watching the film, especially I'll speak for myself, is just a little details, the run efficiency, right? You can have the big runs, but how do we make every single run at least 4 or 5 yard gain, and then those big ones will come eventually. So I think for us, it's just about the fundamentals. Up front, starts with me. I can do better. Wasn't my best game, but I know that the character of the guys in the offensive line room, Tony, will be better this week, and we'll get the run game going.
And then we'll take our last question from George.
Ryan, you mentioned you were a first-round pick yourself, and it probably wasn't quite as much social media, or at least not 24/7 like it is now back then. But how do you kind of block out all the outside noise. And do you talk with Anthony at all about that and how to deal with it?
No, I think it's up to each guy to do it themselves, right? I mean, I've seen guys handle that differently, and certainly social media can be a great platform when things are going well, or if you're trying to, build up your foundation or what you're passionate about. It's great, but it's also the same people that'll tear you down as soon as you can. So I think it's also just a balancing act. And at the end of the day, nobody in the NFL knows what actually goes on inside an NFL locker room. That's why people are trying to get in there every single day, right? And I think it's a reason why the NFL is the biggest game in the world. Is people care, but they ultimately don't know the X's and O's, the little details, the minutia of what we go through on a daily basis, what we game plan throughout a week. They don't see the hard work, the preparation, the injuries that guys push through. And so I think it's just off social media and the guys in the locker room are the guys that know who cares, the guys that push through, and they know what's really happening.
If you lose Ryan Kelly, you lose the locker room. The locker room's gone if Ryan Kelly says he's lost respect for you. It sounds like Ryan Kelly had a very serious, probably brief conversation with Anthony Richardson where expectations were clearly communicated as to Anthony Richardson's behavior, and I'm talking about the tap out. But it sounds like Ryan Kelly has great respect for Anthony Richardson, and that means a hell of a lot because, again, you lose him, you've lost the team, and you lose your job. You can't lose Ryan Kelly. You can't lose that offensive line. They're going to war with you. They're doing the job to protect you. If you show a lack of willingness to sacrifice and be there for them, you got a real problem, and that's kind of what went down yesterday.